because everybody wants to talk about sourdough.
All right, we're going live.
We're going live?
The chat has a question.
Are we live? Are we starting this thing?
We're starting this thing, yes.
Then I'm going to say hello. Greetings, friends of Marin Bicycle Coalition, Marin County Bicycle Coalition. My name is Christopher Kaiser. Welcome to the Lost Summer Celebrity Cycling Series. I'm here with my co-host, Caroline Diesendorf. Say hello, Caroline.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
We have a great one for you today, as opposed to all the other weeks. No, once again, we're fortunate to have fantastic Laura and Ted King with us today. They're going to join us shortly, but just want to tell you, remind you, this is a fundraising series for Marin County Bicycle Coalition. Please, while you're here or after you finish watching, go to marinbike.org/lost summer. Contribute. We have a giveaway with lots of fun prizes, and Caroline's going to tell you all about them.
Yeah, so we're really fortunate. Again, this is a fundraiser for Marin County Bicycle Coalition and for local COVID-19 relief efforts. So 25% of anything we raise in this bike giveaway goes to helping Canal Alliance and San Rafael and West Marin Senior Services. So go on to our website, marinbike.org/lost summer, and enter the giveaway for a brand new 2021 Specialized Diverge Carbon Pro donated by Mike's Bikes. And then you can also win other prizes from Easton, Velocio, and Or Not Bike. And as well, just reminder, we really need to thank the people that are making this possible for us, our sponsors. So Dolan Law Firm, Bay Area Bicycle Law, Marin Cyclists, and the New Wheel.
Thank you, Caroline. And by the way, that is the 2021 Specialized Carbon Pro Carbon. So it is a carbon fiber bike with 700C wheels, 47mm tires, Eagle axis, and a lot of other goodies attached to it. That said, we all want to talk to Ted and Laura. Ted and Laura are joining us from the van life. They're touring around the country. We'll get to that in a second. You know these two from, I mean, they were prescient. They were ahead of the curve. Ted left his Pro Tour racing career to be stateside and do the groovy gravel thing. And his missus is doing it with him. They have a new baby. They're traveling around. And let's join them right now. Say hello, Ted and Laura King.
Hi guys, thanks for having us.
Where do we find you today?
We're in Whitefish, Montana.
And did you ride? Where'd you ride today? Gravel, dirt, road? What's up?
We beelined it as quickly as we could across the country with a quick stop in Spearfish, South Dakota, and then we made it to Whitefish, knowing that was going to be a high priority of this trip. And so we've been here for 4.5 days now, and we'll unfortunately have to hit the road tomorrow, but we've been catching up with our friends Jess Sarah and Sam Boardman, and they certainly have local know-how. Jess grew up here, and we've been riding some absolutely spectacular gravel roads.
It's nice to have locals showing you around, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice.
It's incredible.
Always social distance.
For you guys too?
Say that one more time?
Is Jess cooking for you guys too?
We had some amazing shrimp tacos the other night that she made for us.
That's where I go for fish tacos. I go to Montana for fish tacos always.
Exactly. She made that joke, but tonight sushi and fish tacos and oh man, what else can?
And huckleberry ice cream. Huckleberries.
And already we've already gone down into the food hole with a bunch of cyclists. I want to mention though that you guys are on the road. You're doing this unexpected road trip because normally you would be hosting Rooted Vermont this weekend. Isn't that right?
That's right. Well, our daughter Hazel was born March 8th, just a few days before the kind of pandemic lockdown really happened. And so as the months have gone by, all my family is in Seattle, and she has yet to meet them. And we just kind of kept thinking about what our options were. I've been really anxious to introduce her now that things change so quickly, and so we kind of just decided to take matters into our own hands and put the word out that we were looking for a van, and it was very convenient that it all worked out because apparently vans are in high demand these days, and we had a a friend that didn't know that he wanted to sell his van, worked out that we were able to acquire it. So then we turned it into a big adventure, and with a loose agenda and a bunch of fun stops and riding along the way. And we haven't yet made it to Seattle, so we're on our way.
It's a bit of a lemons to lemonade though, isn't it? Because like I said, you guys normally be hosting Rooted Vermont right now, and you have really full schedules. But I mean, I'm sure you'd rather be racing, but you've got a new kid and you're traveling around. How do you feel about this, Ted?
It's sort of descriptive of how the whole year has gone, which is, like you said, lemonade from lemons. And yeah, as Laura mentioned, I mean, Hazel was born 2 days before the world went into lockdown. So our schedules pivoted enormously this year. And so we've done stuff like create DIY gravel, and so the point of that is to celebrate the original event days. So going up to Ketchum tomorrow, we will...
Louder.
Okay, I will speak louder. We will team up with and meet and go for a sweet ride with Rebecca Rush, and she'll show us the local know-how up in Ketchum. And it's all intertwined because in normal circumstances, we would be in Ketchum for RPI over Labor Day weekend, at which point we would have had Laura's mom come out and watch Hazel as we do the event. So, I mean, you know, basically the whole year is about pivoting and trying to make the most of a strange scenario, to say the least.
So can you kind of talk about how you came up with the idea of DIY gravel? I know you kind of touched on it right there, but this is something you've been doing all summer and all spring, starting with Rasputitsa, which should have been in Vermont. Mm-hmm. And then you did this epic extra large fake dirty Kansas but XL Vermont ride in place of that. And I know, I mean, Laura, brand new mom, you are just kicking butt too all over the place too. So it's pretty impressive, but yeah, just kind of fill us in on it all.
Yeah, so the original idea was, especially early in the spring when we saw events being pushed later into the year, and it seemed vague and sort of nebulous to say, okay, we're going to have our event in 3 months, or we're going to have our event in October. Obviously, at that point, we didn't realize how big the ramifications are going to be from COVID. So I knew that the original event day, every event is landing on somebody's calendar, and those dates are going to be passed by. And I didn't want that to happen because there's a lot that goes into these events, whether you're a participant, whether you're an event organizer. So yeah, the whole point of DIY Gravel was I was going to take my schedule of the events that I was going to be doing in 2020. And so I put it out there and said, hey, everybody who wants to go do X number of miles over the course of the next week. So, you know, the event day is on the calendar. You have the next week to do it. And I tapped the shoulder of all my sponsors, and they all came up big in terms of offering up product, which is not easy because it's not like a one-off event. You know, we've been doing this since April 18th, and we'll go well into October. So it's been really darn cool. I mean, in a year of so many virtual events, to continually see this outpouring of comments and positivity of people who are inspired by the ride is awesome. So DIYgravel.com, subtle hat. Yeah, you can check it all out.
That's groovy. I must confess that when I first heard the DIY gravel, first off, I didn't know you were behind it, but I was just a little skeptical. I'm like, man, what getting out to do a huge effort with the wolf pack is hard enough as it is. When you have that whole esprit de corps and you're running with the hounds. But I really, like you said, super impressed at the inspiration everyone's taken from it for various causes, people raising money for COVID relief, Black Lives Matter, local charities and whatnot. It's really touching to see what people have done, banded together virtually, and it's still in finding that shared effort out of it. So bravo, kudos to you and yours. That's a wonderful thing you've done.
Well, thank you.
Should have a nice segue after that. Caroline mentioned watching the video. You did that crazy effort yourself of Cross Vermont, and I don't want to leave it untouched. Can you tell us a little bit about that effort? Tell us where we can go watch the video as well.
Sorry, before we sorry, Ted, but just like in this segue, this is the segue, is that video, one of the things you did highlight in it was like the community that rallied behind you to do that crazy effort. And I mean, like, you know, there's this little section where you're like, somebody's riding with you and they're FaceTiming Laura about it all. And I was like, oh, like, this is so great. Like, one of the things that's so amazing about you guys, especially with this newborn baby, is like, even if you go to, I forgot what your website is, King.
IamTedKing.com.
Yeah, IamTedKing.com, and you look at your schedule, even before this all happened, your schedule for racing, you had asterisks and it was supporting Laura. And I thought that was like the coolest thing in the world, was like on your schedule, like, yes, look at me, I am the king of gravel, but like these are the races I'm going to support my wife at.
He's very supportive.
Go me.
He drove, well, yeah, he drove 140 miles for my DIY BWR ride with Hazel in the car, and Ansel, who was capturing some images, and stopped for me to be able to feed her. And that was a really long day, and that was pretty cool to have them alongside. Just like, that was like 8 weeks after, I think she was 8 weeks old. So it's been fun family affair.
And I mean, you know, talk about, if you're going to discover a new norm, then no better time than COVID, when just everything is different, everything is new, everything is wild and crazy. So we are not doing the events we typically would be doing, and that makes it all the more interesting and exciting to go say, like, let's do something crazy. Let's go ride to Canada. So Laura rode 140 miles on the BWR DIY gravel event. She followed up my Cross Vermont ride by doing 200 miles from our house in Vermont to my brother's house in Maine. So yeah, I mean, it's certainly the year of lobbing out enormous, crazy adventures, and that's what DIY gravel, DK, Ad Astra, VTXL is all about. So long story short, if you go to YouTube and type in King of the Ride, that's my YouTube channel, and then you will subsequently find this ride. So yeah, long story short, Joe Cruz is a massive bike aficionado. He's a bike packing contributor to bikepacking.com. He's a Vermonter, and I had said, hey, do you know a route that goes from the northern Canadian border to the southern Massachusetts border of the state of Vermont that is entirely on gravel? And conveniently, he set to work and he created a route. So I went from the northeastern corner to the southwestern corner, 312 miles. It took 21 and a half hours. And that was I started at 11 p.m. on Dirty Kansas Saturday. And it was the kind of crazy adventure that I would never do otherwise, were it not for the year in which we're living. So it's pretty darn cool. Go check that out.
Definitely will. It was. I watched it in preparation for seeing you guys today, and I was really touched by it. It's nice to see it shattered. No offense, but you know, you're immortal like the rest of us, and we hold our pro riders up to a lofty standard, and you didn't have to push. And there were a couple times where I saw you turning squares, and I thought, oh, is he gonna get off?
Yeah.
One time you almost couldn't get off because
that was exactly sticky, yes.
Sticky speed plates.
Your speed plate pedals are clean on a massively muddy cycling event.
Yeah. So tell me, any special preparation you did before that? Were you doing anything more than a 7-hour ride before you headed out for a 21-hour ride?
No, I mean, going into the year, I was trying to be a fit father, and Laura she was in full support of doing a pretty aggressive race year this year. So Hazel was born in March, and Land Run would have been the subsequent weekend, and then everything went sour. So I was fit early on in the year. I have not done 7-hour rides. I don't think I have. without events on the calendar, I'm loving riding my bike, but there's no rhyme or reason to the training that I'm doing. So from a preparation standpoint, I made sure that I could cross my T's and dot my I's and made sure all the hardware was in order. I mean, Cannondale came up big. They were launching the Cannondale Carbon Topstone Lefty. So the bike was perfect. Reached out to Zip and got a set of wheels made up, which is, you know, it's interesting because they have to have a lefty hub on that, and then the great set of tires from Renee Hares. So yeah, checking off the hardware side of things, that was my preparation. Riding my bike a fair amount leading up to it was my other preparation, but certainly no like training routine for this crazy hard.
That's nice. That's nice to touch on, because you hear a lot of folks who aren't is learned in preparation for endurance events or long events. A lot of people think that to prepare for RPI or for Dirty Kansas, you go out and do a 200-mile ride. Nobody goes and does 200-mile ride unless you're Lachlan Morton or some other freakazoid. You do your good LSD, your good power, and then you show up and you drag yourself for whatever it takes. That said, I want to turn our attention to the mother of your lovely daughter, Laura. You, pregnant, carrying his child, and doesn't seem to lose a step at all. You're still riding hard. You're still posting big rides, and you're racing. Tell us about Mom Watts and balancing life as the mother of a new daughter.
Yeah. Well, I never really set out to, I mean, even throughout my pregnancy, I had no idea what it would feel like or whether cycling would be comfortable. But it turns out cycling was the most comfortable activity that I could do. So, and then, you know, cycling is so much a part of my life in that it's my social outlet. It's my daily endorphins. When you work from home, it's getting outside. So I was just really thankful every day to have kind of that semblance of normal, to be able to go out and ride. And I always felt more energized and better throughout the pregnancy when I could get out. So, and you know, we do so many fun riding events and gatherings that I also have a bad case of FOMO, and it's really hard for me to sit them out. So I was happy that I was still able to participate in all those, and then we could continue to do them together. And then, yeah, I guess I guess my labor and delivery was the maybe best case scenario, because I was able to get on my bike a whole lot sooner than I ever expected. And it's funny how this DIY gravel campaign, I guess you call it, or idea that you came up with, I was surprised at how much it motivated me, because I didn't have a schedule set out for the year. I had no ambitions of being ready to race BWR, and yet by that date I was, you know, it kind of got into my head, like, could I do this? Because I had been able to maintain riding, you know, and not really have to take much of a break. So yeah, I was really motivated by it. And then the next event, when DK came along, I said, I have nothing to prove. I don't need to ride 200 miles. But again, I guess I wasn't motivated by the idea of just riding 200 miles for 200 miles sake. But when I learned that it was about exactly 200 miles to ride to Portland, Maine, I got kind of excited, because that, you know, and there's some adventure, and like, I mean, that was the route that I took was an area I've never seen. It was stunning. Ted put together the route for me, and added some cool stretches, the Kankamangas Highway that I've never ridden. And yeah, I got motivated and I brought my breast pump and stopped to nurse along, or stopped
You
to
did not.
pump along the way. I had to, because
You made baby's dinner while you're on your ride. That's fantastic.
Oh, she's been very, like, if you look at Laura's Instagram, there's a lot of information about how she's done this, and it's pretty impressive.
Nice.
Like, for all the moms out there, it's pretty awesome.
Tell us your Instagram handle, Laura, so anyone who's watching can check out your Instagram. What's your Instagram handle?
Laura Cameron King.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's tremendous. Just to keep your popularity up with some others who may have not been back on the bike as quickly as you were. Can you at least tell us something that maybe hurt or took a little bit longer than you expected?
I absolutely can, because yeah, I try to make a point of saying not everything during pregnancy was comfortable for me, and it is so individual. Like, I had terrible pelvic pain when trying to even just hike, or I couldn't run at all after 15 weeks. Yeah, when you're pregnant, sometimes you have everything's really lax, your tendons as you're like preparing to give birth, and mine was just like my pelvis was super loose. So cycling was nice because you sit on a saddle and you have that stability, but there were plenty of things that were not as comfortable.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to watch my wife go through pregnancy the same way. She commuted to the city, 8 months pregnant, and much to the consternation of her colleagues, but her OB was a roadie she was 5'2" or something like that. She's like, ride your bike till you can't ride anymore, and so she rode until she gave birth, basically.
It's nice if you have a medical professional that kind of can understand the nuances of, the differences of someone who has high skill level on a bike versus somebody who's, there's a whole spectrum of like things to consider, and whether cycling is safe or a good idea, or how risky it is. But yeah, we ride bikes so much. It's like, I felt pretty stable and confident, and tried to not take too many risks.
We're putting a big asterisk on the screen here. Your mileage may vary. We are not medical professionals.
Exactly.
Listen to your body. Listen to your doctor. Again, listen to your body.
Yes.
But that's fantastic. You guys are really inspiring. Is there a jersey in the baby's nursery already? Do you have the Dutch seat in front already? We have a trailer yet? What's next step for baby?
We have a lot of sponsor appropriate onesies. So cheers to all the sponsors who have sent those. We have a handful of accessories, hand-me-downs from friends and neighbors that can attach that will attach to the bike, and then presumably the child will go into bike. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Hazel's